So Michael proclaimed that for some of us, Monday has been dumped on top of our Tuesday. But doggone it, we're here. Let's have a good hour together.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Amen to that.
Good evening, everybody. It's Sidebar, in case you couldn't figure that out. Good to have you all here. So we've kind of covered this topic before, probably in multiple different directions, but we're bringing it up again because it's kind of always an issue. And there's kind of been a new twist based on a couple of things that happened in O'Donnell's court. So we're talking about the idea of bonds and, how they can almost be punishment in and of themselves, and they're kind of an allusion to actual release and all of that. But we bring this up because the other day in O'Donnell's court, we saw one person get $100,000 bond for corrupt activity, theft, identity fraud, and forgery. So some pretty serious stuff. But then another person got a $750,000 bond for drug, weapons, and failure to comply charges, along with some pending cases elsewhere. So some stuff going on for sure.
But in one case, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
As I recall. But in one case, he even set, and I don't remember which one it was, but he even set the bond higher than what the state wanted.
The flight attendant was the first one, the 100,000 one, and the aggravated possession of drugs was the 750,000 one. There was other things too, but yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I get it. These are like, serious allegations, but they're also just that. They're allegations. And we're seeing some of this stuff when it's not even always like violent allegations.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of to the point personally of, I think the system the laws need to be rewritten so the system stops kidding itself. If we're not going to give somebody a bond they can actually handle, then why are we even bothering? It's performative.
Yep.
In my humble opinion. And, and this is the conservative guy on the panel talking. I look at it and go, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't understand what you brought up, Dan, about the ones that they didn't harm anybody, but if they are like identity fraud, forgery, theft, that kind of thing. If they didn't like actually physically harm somebody in that way of, striking them or things of that nature. Yeah, I don't quite get it either, because it's kind of the whole point of bond is to keep the public safe. And in a way you are doing that, just not, but I don't know. It is kind of weird for me too, to think how these are so high. They're almost, they are punishable in a way, just because you're restricting their freedom of getting out. And I think, we've touched on this before, and we've said that maybe there should be like a sliding scale in a way, depending on how much resources somebody has. But I don't know. I just feel like we see this more and more in cases. It was blatantly obvious when going through the court records that, this comes up all the time. So across different counties, different states.
Yeah, we see it kind of across the board on all the judges across the various states and jurisdictions we watch. It almost feels like it's a signal outward more than it's a signal to the defendant themselves, where it's like, hey, I'm taking this particular this particular case very seriously, and I'm holding them to a high bond because I see the threat they are, and I'm tough on crime. I'd almost, and I wish I had more time to research this, wanted to see a correlation between higher bonds and up for re-election. Just kind of a thought I was chewing on here.
I can actually see that.
Yeah, I can see that too.
Yeah.
That could be a justification for it.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, like, I think both of the cases we referenced here, I think if I remember right, they were repeat offenders. So it's like a fool me once, I give you $1,000. Fool me twice, I give you a heck of a lot more because you've showed me you're not dependable. You show me you'll violate, so I'm raising the level a bit.
That is true too, Lindsay. I think both of these cases that that were brought up, they're both it wasn't their first time for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, multiple counts of things as well. Not just one thing or another. For instance, that flight attendant was facing corrupt activity, theft, identity fraud, and forgery all at once. So that's one thing. And then that other dude was facing possession of drugs, failure to comply. And then he had pending cases in Cuyahoga County, if I'm saying that correctly. Yeah. So yeah, he had homicide history with a gun as well. So yeah, that's probably not a good thing. I probably went against him a lot.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's a way to keep them in jail without giving them no bond, giving them something they can't make, thereby keeping them in. I wonder if that's why some of these do it, but not a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point, Austin, because like they are entitled to a bond. Like we hear that a lot. You are entitled to a bond. But at some point the judge has to be like, I don't want them getting out. They're not dependable, they're clearly a danger. So yeah, you set the bar
where they
and
can't.
Granted, there are some folks like $1,000 is a bridge too far. So again, you kind of go back to the topic of optics.
There was, and it's a flight risk too, right? So if they
that's why I was asking about the flight attendant, because there's a
because she's flying, like literally. Yeah,
she can get a buddy pass and she's long gone.
I would think the judge would have a problem with her doing her job for sure. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I can't remember. Was she even allowed to work anymore?
I think so. I think she was a flight attendant at the time.
Yeah, but I suppose there'd be the question of her TSA clearance, whether or not the airline would want her.
Right.
Yep. I know she'd have had to stay stateside because she would have had to have surrendered her passport. But I don't know if she can still fly domestic, I think is what that's called, stateside.
Yeah.
So slight turn, Lindsay, you were asking if there was like studies that correlated bond amounts to elections.
Okay.
Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah,
That's what you're wondering about?
Yeah.
No direct studies have been done.
Okay.
However, in 2015, the Brennan Center for Justice did a report. They reviewed 10 prominent empirical studies across multiple states, and they found that re-election and retention pressures do make judges more punitive, longer sentences for felonies, more rulings against criminals, etc. The closer to the election, the stronger the offense. Another paper from the Journal of Law and Courts, this is more recent, 2025, 2026, analyzed 70,000 New York City arraignments. Judges with law enforcement backgrounds, 3.9% more likely to order detention or impose higher cash bails.
Okay.
So there's that. And then also, it specifically highlights Harris County, Texas. We've been there before.
A few times.
Where bail is a constant election issue, with the Republicans attacking lenient bails, which, fits because you have the likes of Fleischer and stuff who are Democrat, who are trying to reform bail.
Yeah.
So that's the battle line there.
Okay.
So no specific study, but it definitely seems to be a political thing.
Okay. Interesting.
That is pretty interesting.
I would think
and it's interesting not to bring up politics, and sorry to cut you off, Ashley, but we had these two cases come in Judge O'Donnell's court, and I've called out in the past, I think maybe in a before or after that, Judge O'Donnell is a Democrat. So it's interesting you call that out because there's almost a statistical outlier of here's this Democrat judge with these astronomical bonds. Hence why I was kind of curious where he fell in his election cycle, or if, I don't remember if Ohio does elections, where he was at and if he was trying to appeal across the base.
Yeah, but it's weird because it seems to be a political thing, but then we see like Judge Boyd, who's a Democrat, and everybody thinks she's too tough. Yeah. I'm sitting here. I don't identify as Republican or Democrat, but I do identify as conservative.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here as a conservative man going, yeah, none of this bail stuff makes sense. So it's political, but it also doesn't neatly fit into an R or a D.
No.
Yep. I think one of the points to bring up though, on both of these cases, he's going above the prosecutor's recommendation for bail. And that's interesting too, because usually the judge sides either with the defense or the prosecutor or in between, not usually going beyond the prosecutor's recommendation unless they really feel the need to. And in both of these cases, he really felt the need to go beyond that recommendation.
One of the only times I've seen that.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
I think I've seen it one other time. And, it's weird because they always say, well, it's not meant to be a punishment.
Yeah.
But then in the very next breath, here's why it's kind of a punishment.
Yeah.
They'll basically lay out the fact that you've committed these crimes and then slap you with a huge bond and try to say that it's not a punishment, but obviously that's what they're doing it for. And again, there's definitely a political, I think there's a political side, at least to some of it. Now, some of it is just maybe that's just how that judge is. I mean, Judge O'Donnell, I just think he's just that guy.
Yeah.
Judge Oakley is that kind of guy, Judge Boyd. But I think that you can't, and as much as, we kind of walk the line and stay kind of out of the politics lane, unfortunately, sometimes this stuff does bleed over because these are elected positions. And as much as we like to think of them as nonpartisan, they are very much partisan as well. And that's kind of the problem. And it's kind of sad that we look at it that way and we go, well, conservatives want to have this high bail and really, I look at it as I think it just should be more of a common sense thing. What is the point of having these ridiculously high bails? If the point is, hey, we just want to keep someone behind bars and we don't want to have any opportunity for them to get out because we think, even though we have this system where you're innocent until proven guilty, but we're basically saying, but you're probably guilty, so we're going to keep you in. With $1 million, because I watched a Judge Aquilina case where she set a $2 million bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I went, unless you are a rich mofo, you ain't getting out on a $2 million, even if it's 10%. You're not getting out on $2 million.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, bail reform needs to happen. What's that, Lindsay?
Yeah, I feel like it's almost a loophole to get around you are entitled to a bond. Like you're entitled to a bond, but I really don't want to let you out. So
$100 billion. Like,
Okay, so you're the whole Austin Powers situation that happened In the Blind last night.
Yes.
Again, the case of Lindsay cracking up in public.
Yeah, because it might as well be. Some of these bonds.
I agree.
And I see some of these even for someone that's homeless, right?
Yeah.
You have someone that's $1,000 bond. Might as well be $1 million.
Yeah.
Right.
And in some cases, it's a minor. We're talking low end misdemeanors.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's the thing.
And then, or in the case of Florida, you're fishing out of season and it's $42,000, and that's a real thing. We reference it here sometimes, and people think that it's hyperbole. That was a real thing that happened before Judge Mercer. This guy fished out of season, and also I think had, I think he used had a fishing without a license, out of season, whatever, and it was like several counts of it. And in Florida, they don't screw around with that, and it was a $42,000 bond. Meanwhile, then we watch down in Miami-Dade, Judge Glazer had attempted murder, $25,000.
Yep.
That's insane when you compare the two things.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
wild.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, so we're all singing off of the same sheet of music here. The Eighth Amendment says excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel or unusual punishment inflicted.
Yeah.
So, these
right.
bails, in my mind, are excessive. So, in that case, I think you have to classify it under a no bond hold. It feels like we're trying to skirt around a bunch of things that just make no sense whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I can't get behind it. I guess I like lines to things to be cleaner. I realize that the world exists in the grays, but some of this stuff just does not make any sense. Just tell the person you're not getting out.
Yeah.
Because the number is just stupid, and the number is stupid in so many occasions.
I agree. I think, though, the problem is excessive is a subjective term.
Yeah.
In the judge's mind, you've screwed around with me enough times. I don't think this is excessive. F around and find out, buddy.
Yep.
So I agree. Yes, Eighth Amendment excessive, but I think the states need to step in and say, these are the parameters. And so therefore, if you go above this point, okay, yeah, it's excessive. Do we maybe not see that because we're not, actual legal officials? We're just kids on the internet. I don't know. But...
Real quick, Barbara, thank you for the $10. I love all of you on this TCF panel. We love you as well.
Thank you, Barbara.
I hope your air gets fixed soon.
Oh, yeah. Barbara's air conditioner is out. And, wouldn't be a big deal, but for the fact it's June.
In Florida.
Florida
again.
Yeah.
It's all about Florida tonight.
I know.
Sorry, Florida.
I did a little.
Oh, go ahead, Austin.
I was going to say I did a little research about the re-elections. Ohio does have it every 4 years. His last election was in 2024.
Oh,
and
so he's halfway through a cycle.
He was the incumbent.
Okay.
We have conflicting information then. I'm looking at Ballotpedia, Judge John P. O'Donnell, Lake County.
Yep.
And it says there that he just had his Republican primary, so he's Republican, not Democrat.
Okay, then there must be multiple.
And he ran unopposed in that.
That's weird.
I think there's a female O'Donnell too.
I have Judge.
He's John P. in Lake County.
Yep.
Yeah, that's who I found.
Yep. I just put it in what I found in the chat, our chat.
He might have switched parties.
He might have. He might have.
It says nonpartisan for 2024.
Who did I see? One of our judges that week. Oh, Fashion Court, Judge West. She switched parties.
Yeah, isn't she Republican now?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't think that's so much a move out of political ideology as much as it is a strategic move based on, based upon just kind of reading the room, so to speak, or reading the county.
Yeah.
And how you can win a primary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the discussion forks here a little bit, but I agree with you. I don't know that the party of the judge necessarily matters too much anymore.
It never matters to me.
No, it doesn't to me either.
It doesn't to me either.
No.
But
No.
there are those that just vote because there's an R or a D there, and
Yep.
Yeah,
They're
or they're
the straight ticket
or
voters
They're the
and-
incumbent.
Or they're
too.
the incumbent. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
a very real thing too.
Yeah. And me, I generally, when I look at judges, because we get, on the ballot, there's just that whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I abstain from voting for any of the choices unless, because I will make notes if there's a judge that makes particularly egregious decisions, or I know them from a particularly, crazy thing, or let's say they were a family court judge that, might have done something that I was not a fan of, or that I was a fan of. Then they'll get a vote one way or the other. Or, if I saw them on the news or whatever, and they presided over a well-known case, or, but other than that, if I don't have a lot, because I don't, and I'll just be very candid, I don't have time, because there's so many of them. I don't have the time to research each and every case and decision that they make. So I leave it blank in most of those cases and let other people that may be more informed about it, make the decision. Besides, I have, in Arizona, we have all those ballot propositions that we have to look up, and that in and of itself is where all the research time goes.
yeah,
True.
and those you really need to be looking at.
Yes.
'Cause those things can mess you up. if
Oh
they're
my
wrong.
God, they are. Some of them are simple, but many of them are very involved. And sometimes those where like yes will really mean no, and no means yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Arizona is very strange in that sense.
So one of the few things I do miss about living out west is the state of Oregon sent out a voter guide to all households, and we voted by mail, so you could sit down with your ballot and the voter guide and take all the time you needed to read through everything in there. And I read that thing cover to cover some years just because we were in lockdown and there wasn't much else to do. But no, you learn a lot. Like, and the judges had stuff in there, and like, okay, I've lived here for 4 years already. This is the first I'm really reading about this judge. This is interesting. It just feels like
we
that-
get voter guides here too. I don't
Yeah.
find them overly useful all the time.
Yeah.
Depends on the thing.
Arizona,
They're
for the
used-
site I found, all registered voters, and they're
They're
online.
useful for those like ballot initiatives and stuff.
Ballot
Yes.
initiatives,
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
But they don't
those
give you
things-
a lot of information on the judges. They give you kind of this biographical information. They'll tell you party and stuff, but that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Same.
Even the ballot initiatives, sometimes I find myself, because some of them are so intricate,
Yeah.
you have to even look outside of that. But they're pretty good for that stuff, or they're pretty good for, governor and stuff. But I mean, those are usually pretty easy decisions.
Right.
But for judges, it's really, because there's a lot there. I mean, just from watching all the court that we do here, I mean, that's, and I'll say this, any judge that sits there and does these excessive bonds,
I would
they're not
like
going to get
scam.
my vote.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, I don't know. This is another thing that's a symptom to me that we're moving away from the concept of innocent until proven guilty.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's very dangerous in my eyes. I mean, yeah, you can look at some things, and we do it here, unfortunately, but it's true, where we'll look at somebody as they're being arraigned, and we'll, in the chat, we're like, this guy's a monster.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but we don't really know.
Well,
we're until it's proven out, we don't. I mean, there might,
Right.
the prosecutor's making their case for sure, but you know what? That's another person who just needs a conviction rate that's really high so that they can get elected.
Right.
And, you know, if they charge somebody and make it look really, really damning, then they can get that plea deal and it's one check mark in the convicted box.
I mean, I agree, Dan, except sometimes there are people that come there and they already have like 58 charges before that, you know, they've already been convicted of. And,
right.
Well,
you know,
yeah. And I mean, look, you know, I'm confusing to people, I suppose, because I'm also the guy who believes very heavily in personal accountability. If you'd screw something up, own it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, but again, just if we're working within the system, unless they have been convicted, they have a presumption of innocence. And, you know, keeping them locked up with these ridiculously high bonds, especially if it's a nonviolent offense, I don't think it doesn't serve anybody, because we're paying to house them. Meanwhile, their lives, what they had of it, is completely shattered. They'll lose their homes, their property, their everything.
Yeah.
Not be able to pay for a good defense. I mean, you better damn well hope at that point that they're truly, truly guilty. Because if not, you've destroyed an innocent person.
Absolutely.
I'm almost at the point, if they haven't fled before or they haven't done something to lose that trust of that judge, I don't think their bail should be that significantly high. And I hate to say that, especially if it's like a murder charge or something. I know public safety is involved, but at this point, because the bail is to bring them back in front of the court, if there's no reason why, there's no evidence that they will flee or something like that, I don't think they're entitled to really a very high bond. Personally.
Well, I think public safety can be overblown a little bit too, because that goes into the feels. You know, people want to feel safe. Well, you know, is locking up the person who embezzled from their job on a $250,000 bond, keeping the community safe?
I laugh at that. Yeah.
You know, you're gonna have a hard time selling me on that one. I would rather see, at this point, if we're gonna develop a new system, because, you know, why not? That's one of the things we try to do here, and we never fail, or we never succeed, rather, because we don't solve anything. But you take the people who are convicted or accused, rather, of a violent crime. If there's enough evidence, if the preponderance of the evidence points to them, then I'm almost to the point of, all right, let's just hold them. And then if it's a non-violent offense, put them on a damn ankle monitor. We have the tech now. Let's just monitor their movements. And then let's prioritize them through the courts based upon their incarceration status. So those who are in jail, they go first. Fast track them. Move them through. The other ones, they can wait. As long as they're behaving. And if they misbehave, well, then they're in. Yeah, then they're in.
Yeah.
That sounds like that sounds like a shut, open and shut thing to me, but it's not that easy though.
Well, because bail is just supposed to be there to ensure that they show up in court. I mean, that's the point.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's not really what it's used for. I think it's the worst kept secret. I think we all sit here and pretend that that's what it's about, and judges pretend that's what it's about. It's like I was saying earlier, but you know, it really isn't. Yeah, if someone's absconded, 13 times, okay, I get it. I get why you set a ridiculous, $6 quadrillion bond.
We know they're not going to come back unless we hold them there. They've proven they're not.
Like in Judge Mogan's court today, she was talking about how I was going to let you go for the funeral for your relative, but you've absconded 3 times or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't trust you. And I know it bothered her that she couldn't do that, but she just, in that case, I sort of understood.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I don't get it. And that's why, yeah, bond reform. I'm all about it. I'm on board with Judge Fleischer and some of these others that want to have a big reform of the thing. And I know it's a controversial topic, right? Because people think that you're soft, you're
Right.
weak. You know, these guys that commit theft, shoplifting, they should be, $1 million
Lock 'em up and
bond.
throw away the key.
Yeah, we exactly.
Right.
But harsher sentences, and I know this is a hot take, harsher bond and harsher sentences don't necessarily lower crime.
No,
No.
they make people more broken and more desperate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which increases crime.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that.
They get
I mean-
sneakier trying to avoid it or getting caught anyway.
Right. I mean, if you're committing a bank robbery, I mean, and you're already facing life, why wouldn't you just try and take out everybody that's in the bank as well?
Exactly.
Because it doesn't matter at that point, and you have a better chance of getting away. That's the thing about harsh sentences like that. Now I'm not saying that there should never be a harsh sentence, because some people should be locked away for life. I mean, some of the people that have the child stuff and all that, all that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I think inherently the fact is it's not just bail reform. It's just the entire criminal code needs to be rewritten so that there are deterrents, but it also shouldn't be where somebody just feels like, well, here I am. I might as well go out in a blaze of glory because there's no other reason not to,
The sad part is, though, I don't see any of that reform happening without revolution, which is not something that I want, because revolution is never pretty.
Oh, it's yeah.
Right.
It's horrible. But the problem is, it's like trying to reform healthcare or like trying to reform the insurance industry. This is really no different, because if you went through and to try to do all these reforms, look at all the lawyers who would lose out. Look at the bail bonds companies that would suddenly go out of business. Look at the government itself, who all of a sudden, when they're taking in these cash bonds and it's not going through a bail bondsman, that's money sitting there earning the government interest. That's money that they can work with budgets that are never balanced.
It's very sad. It's also very true.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it comes down to the dollars.
Yeah.
And, the dollars alone keep it, I think, from ever truly getting reformed.
Yeah.
But even then, even if it comes down to the dollars, I still don't see the sense of, like taking, like, I think, Lindsay, you mentioned taking the homeless man who has nothing and giving him $1,000 bond.
Mhm.
What's the point?
Right.
I don't, I guess me personally, I would rather be arrested and the judge just be straight with me and say, I'm not going to let you out, than dangle this carrot that I'm never going to be able to reach.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I mean, at least I can wrap my brain around that. That seems more like man to man to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's an honesty there of the, what, I don't trust you. You're not getting out. I can at least respect that. I might not agree with it, but I can respect and go, all right, thank you for being honest. This whole system just seems so dishonest to me.
Yeah, and I think the straightforward approach is the best approach in most situations. And I think going through a bail bondsman, and that is kind of complicated. Like just going through all those motions and things. I would find that more complicated than just not issuing the bail to somebody and just say, hey, no.
Sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I know, right?
Definitely.
So and just trying to call on people, try to get the money together, see what everybody has, that type of thing, because you don't have access to your own account when you're behind bars and things like that. So yeah, I think.
No, not always.
Yeah, we've seen that many times.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Just not issue bond to somebody. But I know that's against a lot of the state's constitutions, but that would
Exactly.
have to
Yeah.
Exactly. Hence the loophole conversation I was having.
Yeah.
Like, they're entitled to one. It's their constitutional right. But
Yep.
Well, we saw Akalina the other day. She's like, well, you're entitled to a bond, so we'll just give you $1 million bond.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking
She
about.
just said it.
Yep. She slapped
you just said it.
the
The
old
dollar amount
7-figure
on it.
bond on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which neat, but again, it's performative.
Right. And it
Yep.
doesn't
And
do a lot for the whole concept of the justice system is really for the rich and the privileged.
Yes,
definitely
which was one
does
of our
not
other
help.
discussions. Yeah.
Well, so many things are. It's getting to the point where eating is for the rich and privileged, but that's another discussion. Because like everything's out of control, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like bonds are inflating too. Or is it just me?
They're getting higher and higher.
It was 500,000. Everybody turned their head like a few years ago and like, oh my gosh, that's so much. But now it's like 100,000, 150,000. Yeah, I think it is increasing actually.
Well,
2
it's
million.
weird to have a bond that's higher than the punitive amount of the crime in the first. Like, for example, you're in for like petty theft less than 100, like some class 3 or class C, whatever the state you're in, the nomenclature, misdemeanor, like a low end misdemeanor. And the total fine maybe is $500, and yet they set you $1,000 PR bond, even though it's a PR bond. That's still $1,000 that if you don't show up, you have to pay. Or they might even set a cash bond. Or in Florida, it doesn't. It just seems like you pretty much have a bond. I mean, yeah, they might give you a conditional release, maybe, but even for a small end misdemeanor like that, that's weird. I've just always felt that that's a strange thing to do.
Or
agree.
and we see this all the time, especially in like Mercer's court, where somebody will be given like 5 different charges, but it's all on the same transaction, and he'll put like a $500 bond on each charge, so it ends up being like a $2,500 bond, even though it's 5 charges referencing the exact same crime, just charged a few different ways, so that when it's all said and done, they can go do their whole plea thing.
Yep.
That doesn't make any sense to me either. But again,
Florida
we see it all the
likes to do
time.
that.
Well, that was how they got to the whole $42,000 for the fishing and the fishing without a license and out of season and all that.
Yeah, it was like $2,500 for each perch that he took, $1,000 for each worm that he killed.
Yep.
It was weird. That to this day, I just kind of that was the strangest one.
I know.
We've seen strange stuff. That was absolutely bizarre.
Even in
That-
Judge Glazer's court, that happens too. And it actually slows down the process of getting through all the all the first appearances, because I just don't think that's efficient at all.
And guys, we've talked about it here before too. Not only the bond itself, but the inconsistencies of the bond, how the same judge will set 2 different bond amounts for the same crime on 2 different people. And you can say, well, one has a bit longer history, but sometimes they have similar criminal histories. It's almost like, or remember, we've seen it where Judge Glazer gave somebody $2,500, but then she had to go for a lunch break, or she just threw a tantrum, and so they hot swapped in, the other guy, and he's like $5,000 bond. I'm like, but it's the same crime.
Yeah.
They challenged him on that
goes
too.
back to my point of excessive is subjective.
Yes.
A lawyer called him out on that too.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Judge Glazer doesn't do that, and he blew up.
Yep.
It's like, well, I'm not Judge Glazer. But yeah, I remember that. Because, they were like similar crimes, similar charges. And I
Yep.
just I don't know.
the judge with the military background. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Oh.
So I don't know if you guys could see the heartbreak come across my face, but I don't know what prompted me to Google it, but I Googled Judge Aquilina.
Mhm.
This will likely be her last term because she just turned 68.
Yep. Yeah, no, she's gonna age out in a couple of years.
Dang.
Broken heart. She's got an incredible history.
She does.
Which that can be another sidebar.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
probably,
Judge
That's
Aquilina's a great
well, she
judge.
shows it, right? She shows
Yes, she
it
does.
in court. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's that stupid Michigan stuff right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not a fan.
that sentence covers so many topics.
Yeah, because
Stupid
Middleton's.
Michigan stuff there.
Because I mean, a lot of the judges that we watch in Michigan in a few years, I mean, McNally's got to 2031, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Simpson is about then. Middleton's out this year. Aquilina will be out. So a lot of the judges that we enjoy,
are out.
won't be there much longer.
I know.
Yep.
Well, I'm really good at finding new ones, so we'll find.
Dan is
I,
really
I,
good.
I know, Dan,
It's
but
okay.
Yeah.
it still bums me out. Judge Dad
know.
is fantastic.
Yep.
And the young
Well,
and the
yeah,
young
but-
and the young ones are not. They don't have that experience. They don't have the stories that we can enjoy. It's heartbreaking.
Stories we can enjoy.
In terms of Judge Middleton and his stories,
They don't
I like
quote lyrics from
storytelling.
Yes or Chicago or the Little River Band.
back in my day.
Oh.
They only know 2/3 of the town and not the entire
Yeah,
town.
exactly.
Right.
That's the other thing is Judge Middleton can literally tell you everything about every building, every blade of grass. I mean, if you ever just sit and watch one of his streams, when I was guest hosting and we just opened this. He started out with this. I even made a joke as we started. I'm like, if we're about to hear, I don't know, something about. I think I said something about Shakespeare or maybe a song lyric or a story, and we got almost all of the above in the first 5 minutes of the stream because he just was waxing poetic, and I wasn't going to interrupt that because I knew that we're not going to hear that much longer.
But then he surprises sometimes. Like a couple of weeks ago, he pulled out some Bright Eyes lyrics, and I was like, "Are you really?"
Yeah.
He's got grandkids.
Yeah, maybe that's where it came from. He doesn't strike me as somebody that would listen to that, but
I was listening to some Dua Lipa on my way in this morning. And I am levitating.
Or he knows about the town's history. He knows about
He does.
the city's history. He knows what has changed through the timeline of everything, and he's like, oh yeah, that used to be, blah 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 and stuff like, and he references things, which is pretty neat. And he knows everybody's families and knows whose son is whose and whose father is.
He's a living encyclopedia. I mean, he really is a
That's a good
wealth
way
of
to put
knowledge.
it.
And on top of that, he's a good judge too.
Yeah.
well, I was just about to say, if we're to bring it back to the bond stuff, if we look at a judge who maybe does it right, he might be a good example of that, because he does, he does set bonds for some people. Not everybody just walks out, but when he does set them, it tends to be reasonable towards what the person can actually afford. I was going to say very rarely, but I'm struggling to think of a time where I can remember him holding somebody on like a super high bond or no bond situation, even if it's a felony pretrial that's going to go to circuit court. I'm sure he has, but I can't think of an instance. I don't know. He seems reasonable, and maybe it's because he's more connected. He's not somebody who I've ever gotten the impression that he sits on high.
No. No.
And maybe
no.
that's
He is
maybe
a
that's
man of
maybe
the
that's part of the
people.
difference, because he's flat told people, he's like, look, when you're in this room, you need to call me Judge or Your Honor or whatever, but when we're out on the street, you can call me Jeff.
Yep.
Well,
Right.
and people call him in court by his first name, and there's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, oh, like it's like he's chill with it. He's like, that's
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that might be just part of, he's a small town judge.
Yep.
Small town, small county, small area. He will have to encounter these folks out and about in the real world. Where some of the other judges we go and watch, they're from much larger areas. And
Right.
they might see each other out in public, but the chance to have to interact is much, much different.
But
Well,
I mean, I
that's-
see some of that with Judge Dad to Judge McNally. He does kind of the same deal, And I think and it's against these older guys or women, and they seem to, and the other thing that they like to do is they talk out why they're doing what they're doing.
Yes.
I love when judges do that.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
I
really
think
get
I'm here for
an
the
insight
time
into the
support.
thought
Yep.
process, and I think that's invaluable.
Here's
Like-
why I
Like
did
it's
what I
actually
did,
Logan this morning, but yeah.
or here's why I set the
Yeah.
bail at.
I had to
why
jump
I
out
did.
in the middle of that. I actually had to work. I'm gonna watch it back later.
I
No,
got
she
pulled
goes
aside
into
too.
mega amounts of detail.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
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 But this
I have a feeling she's gotten maybe not called out, but some pressure about why she's made certain decisions, and that's why she has to go not into the over-explaining mode, but I'm gonna lay everything, all the cards out on the table, and if someone pushes me, I have the record of why I did what I
Wouldn't it
did.
well,
be
you know
that-
what? It
that'd
takes a
be
while,
just-
but at least it's honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Very
it.
true.
It's due
It
process
builds.
too. I like it.
Yep.
I think they should do that more often. I know it makes it more lengthy, but they have their own reputation. to
Burnett
uphold.
County is not necessarily an assembly line court. There's
No.
Yeah.
But you know what? I was going to say, kind of, this leans a little bit back to the political again, but maybe some of these judges that we like so much, like Middleton, for example, and maybe why they're so successful and why they keep getting reelected is that they have that connection with their community.
yeah.
That could be.
So they can
Yeah.
be reasonable. They can also be strict when they need to be. They can send somebody off to jail for a certain amount of time or fine them or whatnot, but they're still respected because they have that community connection, which I think
Exactly.
works both ways. People respect them, and then they're also reasonable. Maybe some of the issue that we see with these ridiculous bonds and everything else is that the judges are just too disconnected because
Yeah,
they're
out of
serving
touch.
communities that are just way too big. Maybe judges should start being assigned like square miles. And you get this
Hey.
2 square mile plot. That's you. That's your community
In
that you
Houston,
have
you
to
get this
serve.
apartment complex.
Yeah, or in some cases just this apartment complex. but
That would be a good idea.
that would almost make more sense because at that
That
point you're
kinda
going to get
does.
to know these people.
Right.
And not just in a frequent flyer through my courtroom kind of way, but in a truly part of your community kind of way.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Yep.
maybe it ought to be enforced upon them that they have to go interact with these people outside of the court. I mean,
Yep.
because police officers have to do it, for example. They have to learn their
Yeah.
beat. They have to interact with these people. I wish they did it more. I wish police officers walked a beat still rather than hitting their cars all the
Yeah.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that would help policing tremendously. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that connection probably matters.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think maybe that's part of what hurt Judge Boyd. Larger community. And yeah, she was making some connections with people, but in a lot of ways, not until they were in front of her.
Right.
you
Well,
know?
and she didn't really.
Kinda like
She even said she didn't really campaign, and you shouldn't have to as a judge, but unfortunately, as an elected
Yeah.
official, that's part of the game. I mean, if you want to be in there, you have to kind of do that, even if you think it's gross.
Got got to do the thing you don't like to do the thing
which
you do
kind of
like.
sucks, that a judge would have to do
Yeah.
that, but
Everybody does, though.
Well, and to our earlier point about, voters and not necessarily knowing judges or knowing what to do, if you are someone who has stayed generally out of trouble in Bexar County, Texas, and you are going up against, you're going in to vote and you're looking at that ballot and you see 3 names and there's one you've seen going on and on and on campaigning.
Yeah.
That might be the name that comes to mind. You just fill in that oval and move
Yep.
on.
Yep.
I bet that's probably not an insignificant.
I think
market.
we all hate those campaign ads, and I'm sure all of us here have.
Ads are the
I
literal
really
reason I
do.
have
Right.
YouTube Premium.
But you know what? We all say that, but obviously they must be effective.
They must work.
They have to work because otherwise they would have stopped them long ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They may not sway a Lindsay or an Ashley or a Mike or a Dan or an Austin, but they're swaying somebody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think what works better is new media. Love him or hate him. I think Trump proved that in 24 because he was going on all of those podcasts and meeting with all of those people, and he snuck out that win. And I think that was the difference maker. I really do.
Yeah.
I think but I bring that up because I think that is a place where these judges could go to expose themselves more to the people that they serve and make a larger connection, is to go on some of these smaller podcasts in these different communities. I mean, I know there's people in San Antonio, for example, that podcast, go show up for these things, because her most of her YouTube content is her judging people.
Right.
There's a couple of interviews out there.
Yes.
And they weren't exactly what I would call hard hitting.
No.
Yeah,
a lot of biographical stuff.
Questions.
Like ask, what does she like to do for fun? Like, what does she do in her free time? Does she, that type of thing. Like, kind of get to know that person. I feel like even in the teaching aspect, that if students get to know you, but you can connect with with people on a individual level, and that's very important, especially for these people.
Yes.
No, it is. I mean, because if you had a more intimate connection with the community of people that you serve, then maybe you would understand a little better what the bond really needed to be.
Right.
Rather than just this high friggin' number that makes no sense.
Right.
And it have more meaning to you too, because that's somebody that you recognize more as a person. And I know that to go back to Boyd again, she always says, well, I see you as a person. And we have judges that say that. And maybe some of them do, but I think a lot of them don't.
A lot of them probably just say it to.
And I think Boyd
basically
does a lot of things that connect to the community. Like she will go and attend these graduation services, when people have these programs like their sobriety and all that, or somebody goes and gets their college degree or whatever. She goes and attends all of these, and she wants to see all of your certificates, and then like legitimately, not just like, oh, let me see it, but she's eager to see that stuff. And that's a huge connection. So I think, if she had just gotten out in the community a little bit more, I think that would have been huge. A Judge Middleton would probably be the same way. I know that he would probably, especially in that kind of a small community, if you asked him to show up to a graduation service or what, he probably would.
Graduation party. He'd sit and have a piece of cake and a pop with
I'd love to have a party with that guy.
But just like Dan said, Mike, though, that's after the fact. And I feel like people can be more proactive, or try to be proactive if they're trying to be one with the community. And I feel like that would go a long way with a lot of these people.
No, it would. It would. That's the thing is, sadly, as much as it should be about just being good for the community and doing what's best for the community from behind the bench. And it's not. That's only a piece of the puzzle.
Yep.
You can be a popular judge, you can be a good judge, but you also have to be politically savvy to at least some degree. And it's sad that it's set up that way, but because we talk about bail reform and stuff, and that's what some of these guys run on, but that, a judge by themselves can't really do much about bail reform. They're just a small cog in that wheel. That has to be done legislatively.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but I think personally, I think if a lot of the people that are elected, if they get in front of the community and just show them that they are a human being and that they, not even going into politics too much, just showing that they're human, that they're going to do their best for the community. I think come re-election, I think that will go even further than these ad campaigns that people do all the time too. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So
showing up and doing that kind of stuff would, in my opinion, also do a lot more than some of the commercials would.
Well, and I think if you're out in part of the community and you help to build your community, there's an argument to be made that you could effectively cut down on crime and the number of people that appear in front of you. Building a stronger community and building within, we talk about these big political, wow, what's going on in Washington and with Congress and the White House and everything. But I mean, it all is at the community level where it all starts. And that's where the big differences are truly made.
Right.
Because if you're changing it there, the need for big change on a more national level, on a federal level, is much less necessary if you have your community under control.
Yeah.
And that's where it happens. Then we wouldn't even have to discuss things like this excessive bail and all this crap if we had more of that. But again, that's maybe pie in the sky thinking, but
well, yeah, if different communities come together, if one community talks to another community and they're like, this is dumb, we need to change this, then they might have something useful to bring to the polls, something that they'll change in the legislature or something, state legislature or something. And they're like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. What is this not having no bail? I mean, why don't we have no bail, and like bringing that to the table instead of all these stupid laws that come up during elections all the time that don't do anything. So
Yep.
Yeah, but the stupid laws are the easier ones to pass, so that's what they're going to do. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's that.
The best and the brightest, unfortunately, aren't the ones that take the seats in government.
It is
because there's no motivation for it to happen. You can do better in the private sector monetarily. So often it comes down to two kinds of people: those who are maybe like a Judge Fleischer, who really think that they can make a change, but they really can't.
Right.
And then those who crave power.
Yeah.
And often those who crave power are smaller people. So those who rule over us, not necessarily the best of folks.
No.
Just saying.
Yep.
But on that happy note, per our normal arrangement, we solved nothing.
Yeah.
We tried.
But, it was, I think, good to talk it out. And in a few months, we'll probably talk it out again, because this is just going to be a never-ending issue.
Agreed.
It just does not make sense to me.
Me either.
But anybody got any final thoughts besides the fact that it just does not make sense? But I don't think we can fix it.
broken, but I don't know what the solution to fix it is. I just know this isn't working.
Yeah.
If it
It's
was
really
working,
not.
they wouldn't have people ending back in front of them all the time. It's I really think there's something else has to change, and I think this might be a small thing that could be changed. Not small in a way, but smaller than other things that could be changed. So I think it's a good place to start, but nobody's going to start it, which is unfortunate. So.
Well, no, there's not the will to. That's why I
Right.
said to really change all these things, it's going to take revolution, but revolution causes death every time it's tried. So I don't think that that's a really great answer either. But I don't know.
Yep.
We will soldier on. I guess the easiest way to deal with it is don't commit crimes, people.
Hey,
There you
Well,
go.
commit them, don't
Yeah.
get caught.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to commit them, don't do stupid things. Don't film your crimes. Don't write down your crimes.
yeah.
Don't tell
Don't be
people
in
about your
front of-
crimes.
Don't
be
post
Don't
about it
bring
on social
this.
media.
cameras.
Yeah, don't post about it on social media is the big
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, don't get on Instagram and post your drive by. That's just silly talk. Don't
Yeah.
do
And if
that.
you're gonna try to shoplift, very good luck with that. You're
Yeah,
gonna get caught.
don't
if
do
you
that at a big box.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Now that we've helped out the criminals,
Criminal advice here on Sidebar.
It's our duty, Dan, to help the criminals too. They're part of the community as well.
on that note, let's call it a night.
Before we
Dark
catch an
thought.
accessory charge.
We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific, half an hour earlier if you're a channel member. Go have a good night. Take care. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night, y'all.